Hello, welcome to another episode of Points of View. Today we get to do what everyone dreams of, putting strategy and creative head to head. I'm joined by Jamey Hardesty, SVP, Head of Scientific and Healthcare Strategy, and for the first time on the show, Erin, SVP Executive Creative Director. Welcome! As we know, healthcare brands have more and more variables to navigate while reaching their audiences. So with the ultimate end goal of helping patients, is keeping up a bigger challenge for strategy or creative?
Being strategy, I'm going to say strategy, and not because I don't think that creative isn't involving. They are, and I'm sure Jeff will eloquently speak to that. But as a strategist, you're often the one that's out in front trying to make sense of all of the chaos and the mess, and you're navigating more channels and rules and regulations and expectations from patients than has been there before. And it's kind of our job to bring focus to all that and clarity. And so while creative ultimately benefits and gets that sandbox, it's really the work that we do in collaboration that creates content that's smart, relevant, and true for the brand.
I agree. I can't really say creative in all honesty. It's a tough thing to be a strategist and have to deal with quickly evolving science, updates and regulatory, competitive landscapes, and still come up with something that is insightful, inspiring to pass off to the creative. So I think in the end, we as creatives, we're keeping up with all that stuff too, but we have a sandbox, hopefully, with great strategists, Jamey, that we can play in pretty well. So yeah, strategy.
One of these variables is AI. How are you adjusting your strategy or creative to keep experiences human?
I think, Cam, you said the most important word, which is human. I think, especially at the intersection of healthcare and experiential, those are both absolutely necessary to live in a human-centric space. And when you think about patient or HCPs, internal audiences, those are high BS, audiences, especially because of the nuances in this industry. So yeah, we use it for broad stroke narratives, for tactical efficiencies, etc. But at the end of the day, it's a strong human voice that needs to impact a human audience. So
It's really all about intentionality. So when I think about AI, it only really works if those inputs that we give it are actually rooted in human insight. So as strategists, it's not about feeding the machine all this demographics or data points. It's about how do we give it emotion, belief, and ability to deal with the challenges that exist within healthcare today. And to Jeff's point, that's how we keep the work human, right? By making sure that the tech, it's not just doing more, but it does more of what matters ultimately for patients, physicians, and our client.
Let's end on a question that I know you'll both like since you're both huge LEGO fans. This was a partnership between LEGO and hospitals to make MRIs a little less scary for kids. What's one takeaway from this that every healthcare brand should keep in mind?
This is such a great example of what happens when we look at a problem through patient eyes, right? It's about reframing fear into something that feels familiar and safe. And so that's really where brand strategy comes in. Did we spot the tension? Did we see that moment of vulnerability? Often that people may overlook. And so, yeah, it's a little Lego MRI machine, but it's really not just a model. It's a moment of comfort, imagination, familiarity, and really the output of emotional design. And so this works an example of what happens when both the insight and creative come together in sync.
yeah, I mean, both Lego dads, this is easy and exciting. But I think if I had to pull one thing out, I would say the takeaway is timing. We know that in experiential, how important the intersection of time and place is, but it's especially important in something like this in healthcare because we often get stuck in nuance and we forget about the audience experience. But you are taking a child who's about to go into an incredibly daunting experience, right? An MRI, possibly for the first time. It's very vulnerable, and you're giving them a relatable, reassuring message that is just minute perfect in its execution. So yeah, kudos, Legos.
Votes are all counted up, and today's winner is Jamey. Your soapbox starts now.
Yeah. So I want to talk about something super simple and something that often I don't think gets talked about enough in healthcare. And really, that's the power of imagination. So when we were kids, we had no shortage of imagination, right? We had Legos and we had cars and we played superheroes and we did all these things because it was fun. And then one day we grew up and we decided to put on sport coats and call it strategy, right? Strategy is really just like weaponized imagination, right? And in healthcare, that's really where progress starts. And so if anyone's feeling stuck in trying to be creative, make space for imagination and invite it in. And the reason for that is because the future is not going to invent itself. We have to imagine it. Thank you for coming to my TED
I love
Talk.
it.
Said like a true Imagineer, right?
That's it for today, guys. Thank you guys both so much for joining, and thanks for everyone for listening. See you later.